Okay, so isang magandang araw muli sa ating lahat mga nurses or aspiring nurses. Ngayon, as requested by many of you, kailangan daw po mag-upload daw po ako ng mga more of videos, mga practice questions po. And then the topics that are commonly asked in the previous board examination questions. So ngayon, I have prepared some questions on our medical surgical nursing na commonly tinatanong po sa board exam, and at the same time possible po na tatanungin po sa mga future exams po natin, hindi lamang sa school, kundi pati po sa mga examinations po na iti-take natin, whether that's going to be local or it's going to be international. Alright, so let's start with our question number one. A nurse is reviewing pharmacokinetics with a student. Which of the following is not considered a component of pharmacokinetics? Ngayon, bago natin, para masagot natin itong tanong na to, dapat alam po natin kung ano po ang ibig sabihin ng pharmacokinetics. Kasi 'di ba, sa pharmacology, meron tayong tinatawag na pharmacokinetics and then pharmacodynamics. Now, since pharmacokinetics ang tinatanong dito would be, ano bang ibig sabihin ng pharmacokinetics? When we say pharmacokinetics, ano ba ang ginagawa ng ating katawan? What the body does. Alright? Ano ang ginagawa ng katawan natin doon sa drug or doon sa medication na tinitake po natin? Always remember, meron po tayong mnemonic na ginagamit po dyan or fina-follow. Ano yung mga component po ng pharmacokinetics natin? Ano yung ginagawa ng katawan natin doon sa drug na tinitake natin? Of course, unang-una sa lahat, that drug needs to be absorbed. So kasama po ang letter A. Pagkatapos na nating ma-absorb yan, it will be distributed to the different part of the body para ma-reach po yung target cells po ng gamot na yan. Okay? And then next one would be the body will be metabolizing that particular drug. Alright? And then lastly would be your letter E, or this is going to be your elimination. Okay? Ibig sabihin, kailangan din po nating ilabas yung some components of this particular drugs, kasi kung mag-stay yan sa katawan po natin, it might cause problems or adverse effects or toxicity. That's why your interaction is not a part of your pharmacokinetics. Okay? So, ang tatandaan po natin dito pag pharmacokinetics, you have to think of the mnemonic ADME. Okay, ADME, A for absorption, D for distribution, M for metabolism, and then E for elimination. Okay? That's gonna be your pharmacokinetics. Pangalawang tanong, when teaching breast self-examination to a 50-year-old woman who is postmenopausal, the nurse should instruct her to perform BSE. Ngayon, ano yung usual na tinatanong po sa board exam natin pag BSE ang pinag-uusapan? Alam po natin na ang breast self-exam, this is a preventive measure para po sa breast cancer natin. So, importante ito for breast cancer prevention. At kung tatanungin kayo sa board examination, what level of prevention BSE would fall, no? It's going to be a secondary prevention. Bakit? No? Early screening po kasi 'yan. Okay? So that's gonna be your BSE. Ngayon, ang lagi din pong tinatanong dito, common topic would be, alright, BSE, kailan po dapat pina-perform ito? Okay? So when? Kailan po dapat natin ito pina-perform? Okay, depende. If you are still menstruating, okay, pag nagme-mens ka pa rin, positive pa rin po ang menses, and then regular ang menstruation po ninyo, you would say 5 to 7 days after menses. But Brunner and Sudart mentioned that 5 to 7 days after menses, pero ika-count nyo na po yung day 1 nyo po ng regla nyo as yung first day of your menses as your day 1 already. Okay? So, kung sinabing a week after menstruation, di ba, that's going to be pasok na pasok pa rin sa time frame po natin. Pero, sa mga pasyente na menopause na po, okay, mga pasyente na nag-undergo ng hysterectomy. Okay, ibig sabihin ng hysterectomy is what? Natanggalan na po ng matres, hindi na po yan nireregla. It's going to be once a month. Okay? But take note that it's going to be the same day. Alright? Kung halimbawa, Friday or 13 ka nag-BSE nung nakaraang buwan, okay, kailangan din sa susunod na buwan, 13 ka din dapat. Alright? So, kung titignan natin dito, 50-year-old po yung pasyente po natin, but the patient is already postmenopausal. Ibig sabihin, menopause na po yan. So ano pong ipa-follow natin? The second one, no? Once a month and it's gonna be on the same day. On the same day each month. So the answer here, it's going to be your letter C. Okay, tandaan nyo yan ha. This is a favorite topic po sa ating pong PNLE. Okay, pangatlong tanong, sabi niya, a nurse is teaching a patient how to perform breast self-examination. Which position should the nurse recommend to ensure the most effective palpation of the breast tissue? Okay, when we are talking about your breast self-exam, meron po tayong 5 steps. Right? We have your 5 steps of your BSE. Okay? Ang number 1 to number 3 steps po natin, ginagamit po natin ito yung technique na inspection. Ibig sabihin, titignan po natin yung contour, the size of the breast, kung meron po bang change doon sa color, may dimpling po ba, may discharge po ba, and so on and so forth. Okay? But the steps number 4 to 5, gagamit po tayo dito ng technique na palpation. Right? At kung tatanungin po tayo dito po sa position po ng pasyente po natin during palpation of your breast, during BSE, step number 4, nakatayo ang patient po natin. But on your step number 5, the client is already lying down. Alright? So saan po dito? Tingnan mo. A, sitting upright with arms crossed. O, nakasit ka upright. Tapos yung arms crossed mo, how would you palpate your breast? Tanggalin natin ang letter A, di ba? Alright? Very very common sense naman. Letter B, lying supine with one arm placed behind the head. Okay? One arm placed behind the head. Letter C is standing while bending forward. You standing and then you bend forward. And the letter D is standing with the hands pressed on the hips. The hands pressed on the hip, how would you palpate? Tatanggalin natin ang letter dog. So ano pong tamang sagot dito? It's going to be letter boy. Lying supine with one arm placed behind the head. Ganyan po. Alright? Okay? At ang tinanong dito sa similar question, all right? Bakit daw po naglalagay tayo ng rolled towel or kaya pillow dito po sa likod ng shoulder po ng ating pasyente while performing your palpation while lying down, while lying supine para po mas ma-evenly distributed po yung tissue po ng breast ng patient po natin. Okay? So it's going to be letter boy for this question. Next. A nurse is teaching a male patient about testicular self-exam. Which instruction should the nurse include regarding the timing of the examination? Always remember, ang TSE po natin, secondary din po ito para sa mga lalaki. Ang TSE po natin, this is prevention also for your testicular cancer. So kailan po ginagawa yan? It's being done after a warm bath or shower para po relax po yung testicle ng patient po natin, relax yung scrotum para mas madaling mapalpate yung testes ng patient po natin. Alright, mapalpate yung testes rather. So it's going to be your letter A. Not your letter B. Immediately upon waking, not your after strenuous activity, and the word only is an absolute term. Hindi po natin isasagot yan. So, tanggalin natin ang letter dog. The answer, it's going to be letter A. So, it's going to be the same day, once a month also, ang testicular self-examination natin after a warm shower. Take note on that. Alright? Hold on. Ayun. Okay? Next po tayo. Next question. These are the basic questions po na tinanong na po sa board exam po natin. Kaya kailangan alam po natin because they might recycle these particular topics. Right, next. A nurse is reviewing a patient's chart and notes that the provider has ordered surgical removal of one or both testes. So, ibig sabihin, pag one, ibig sabihin that's going to be the unilateral. Okay, pero pag both, it's gonna be your bilateral. Okay? Which term should the nurse expect to see documented? Removal of the testes. Tinanggal po yung testes po. Alright? So, tanggalin po natin yung epididymectomy because why? Epididymiston at the testis, tanggalin natin. We also have to remove your vasectomy kasi alam natin ang vasectomy po natin, this is the cutting of your vas deferens. Tama? Vas deferens. Ano po ito para sa mga lalaki, contraceptive to, no? Surgical. Okay? Hydrocelectomy or orchiectomy. So the correct answer here, the removal of the testes, the name or the medical term is orchiectomy. So think of this way, no? Ang testes ng lalaki parang orchids po na nakahang. Okay? So sound like orchids, orchiectomy. That's why the removal of the testes is orchiectomy. It could be unilateral or kung isa lamang pero pag dalawa, it could be your bilateral orchiectomy. Okay? Next. What about the surgical procedure used to correct cryptorchidism? Para sa mga hindi po nakakaalam, ano ba ang cryptorchidism natin? Cryptorchidism, this is a disorder among sa pediatric nursing po natin in which there is an undescended testis. And take note that your undescended testis is one of the most common risk factor. This is a risk factor for testicular cancer. Anong ibig sabihin ng undescended testes? Say for example, ito yung scrotum ng isang lalaki. Hindi po ba dapat ang testicles po natin, ang mga testes po ng lalaki, nandyan yan? But in a client, this is the normal one. Dapat po descended po yan. But in a client with cryptorchidism, possible na yung isang testis niya nag-descend, pero yung isa, hindi po siya nag-descend. That's going to be abnormal. Okay? When the testis is not within its normal environment, it will undergo metaplasia. Mag-change po yan ng characteristic up to the point na magiging cancer cell po yan. That's why possible na mag-develop ng testicular cancer. That's why cryptorchidism is one of the most common factor. Okay? A common risk factor for the development of your testicular cancer. So, ano po yung surgical repair po natin dyan? Hindi po yung orchiectomy kasi binanggit natin kanina, it's going to be the removal. Okay? So, i-repair natin, ipupunta natin dito sa proper place, not the vasectomy kasi nabanggit na natin kanina, not your hydrocelectomy. Ectomy is a removal, not only a repair, but yung mga pexi, di ba? Rafi, pexi, it means there is a repair. So, the answer here, it's going to be your letter boy. Okay? So the answer is going to be your letter boy for this particular question. O, nabuksan po yung namin, nabuksan yung pintuan kasi may nag-deliver ng pagkain, mukhang kukunin na ako ni Lord sa universe. 'Di ba? Tingnan mo, ayan, okay na. Okay? Alright, next question po tayo. Okay? A client is being discharged after internal radiation therapy. Which instruction is most important for the nurse to emphasize? Take note, internal radiation. So we're talking about your radiation therapy, 'di ba? Meron tayong dalawang klase ng radiation. It could be your internal or it could be your external radiation therapy. Pag sinabi po nating internal, ang ibang pangalan po nito that it's gonna be your brachy or your brachytherapy. Okay? And we also have your external, we have your teletherapy. Para hindi po natin mapagbaliktad, remember your mnemonic bite. Diba? B is brachy for internal and tele for external. Remember na ang internal po natin, it could be either sealed or unsealed. Okay? And ang tatandaan po natin dito para alam po natin ang nursing consideration, in internal radiation therapy, your client is radioactive. Okay? So positive ang radioactivity, no? Pero pag sinabi po nating external, no, negative po ang radioactivity. Therefore, saan dapat ang pinoprotektahan natin yung sarili natin as a nurse? Protektahan po natin yung sarili natin for radiation exposure during your internal, kapag ka nakaka-receive ng internal radiation therapy, yung patient po natin. Okay, so saan po dyan? Remember, pag internal radiation therapy ang pinag-uusapan, we have to apply your principle of your DST. Sir, dan ano po ang DST po natin? We have to apply the principle of your distance, your shielding, okay? And we also have your timing. Alright? So, gagawa po tayo ng video dyan regarding this, kung ano yung mga isasaalang-alang po natin in applying your principles of your DST. But here, which instruction is most important for the nurse to emphasize? Internal, at alam natin that your client is radioactive. A, increase fluid intake to prevent dehydration. B, limit time spent with visitor. C, monitor for signs of infection or bleeding. Or letter D, resume normal activities as tolerated. Saan po ang pinaka-appropriate dyan? Saan po ang pasok sa distance, shielding at timing po natin? Wala na pong iba kundi letter boy. Limit time is spent with visitors. Though, hindi naman binanggit kung gaano kahaba kasi, di ba, usually every bisita dapat 5 minutes at saka ang nurse maximum of 30 minutes po dapat yan. Okay? So the most important here, it's going to be letter B kasi yan yung pasok sa atin pong principles of your, what we call that one? Principles of your DST. Okay? Alright, next po tayo. Which client statement indicates correct understanding of the cancer site involved in multiple myeloma? November 2025 daw, tinanong ang multiple myeloma. Alam po natin na ang multiple myeloma po natin, this is a cancer of our cancer of the blood. Cancer of blood din to, no? So, ang blood po natin, di ba may mga iba't ibang components yan. Nandyan ang red blood cell, nandyan ang white blood cell, nandyan ang platelet po natin. So, ang multiple myeloma po natin, no, this could be considered a cancer of a blood. Okay, cancer of the blood. So, tatanggalin natin tong lymph nodes, yung letter A natin. Why? Because this is going to be your lymphoma. O pwedeng non-Hodgkin's or your Hodgkin's lymphoma, remove your letter A. What about letter D? Hindi naman binanggit, ano? Hindi po involve ang digestive system for your MM or multiple myeloma. Okay? And it's not also on your kidneys, no? Hindi po. Letter C, possible po yan ay Wilms tumor or cancer, Wilms tumor, ano, possible, or kay cancer of the kidney. So, ano po ang tamang sagot dito? It's going to be letter boy. The disease affects my blood cells made in the bone marrow. Okay? Made in the bone marrow. Primarily, there is an abnormal proliferation of your plasma cells. Okay? And your plasma cell is a form of WBC. No, dito nang gagaling yung mga immunoglobulins po natin. So, kapag ka tumaas yung number ng plasma cell natin pero abnormal naman yung proliferation niya, possible magkaroon ng multiple myeloma. Okay? Eto na. Kakasabi lang natin. A client is diagnosed with multiple myeloma. The nurse explains that the malignant plasma cells are type of. Ano daw pong type of blood cell ang plasma cell natin? Binanggit natin, di ba? WBC. Ang mga plasma cells natin, WBC yan. Right? Dito nang gagaling or sila po yung nagpro-produce ng mga ano, ang mga plasma cell po natin silang nagpro-produce ng tinatawag na immunoglobulins. Okay, certain kung mataas yung immunoglobulins natin, so ibig sabihin, dapat mas maganda yan. Oo, mataas po ang number ng naproproduce na immunoglobulins, but they are non-functional. Okay? Non-functional kasi may abnormal proliferation. Abnormal naman yung naproproduce. Kaya nagiging walang kwenta. Hindi natin magamit yung mga yan. Okay? So B is the correct answer. Next, which complication is not associated with malignant plasma cells in multiple myeloma? Remember, pag multiple myeloma po ang pinag-uusapan, ano yung babantayan nating assessment dito at problems and complications? Let's use the mnemonic crab. Okay? So letter C is calcium elevated. Babantayan natin yung patient natin, possible magkaroon ng hypercalcemia. R is, it could be renal failure. Diba? Po pwede pong maapektuhan yung kidney because of your abnormal proliferation of your plasma cells. Letter A, possible magkaroon ng anemia kasi mai-interfere ang normal hematopoiesis. Po pwede rin po na magkaroon ng anemia because of your renal failure also. Okay? And then B is bone pain or bone lesion. Alright? No? Magiging weak yung bone, prone magkaroon ng pathologic fracture, okay? Kasi mataas po ang bone demineralization. Yung calcium na pupunta po doon sa blood kaya nagkakaroon ng hypercalcemia also. So, your mnemonic crab is calcium elevated, renal failure, anemia, and then your bone pain. So, A, kasama po yan. Pasok. Anemia, pasok. Frequent infection. Sir Dan, wala ka namang binanggit dito. But remember, dahil sa ang bone po natin, ang bone marrow ay nagpro-produce ng madaming plasma cell, okay? Possible po na bumagsak ang normal na WBC kasi nai-interfere ang interferes normal hematopoiesis. And when we say hematopoiesis, that's the production of your blood cells. So, possible po na magkaroon ng frequent infections as well. So, kasama po ang letter C. Ano po ang hindi kasama dito? Hypertension. Okay? So, again pag MM, bantayan po natin yung mnemonic crab. Alright? Next. A nurse is reviewing a patient's lymph node biopsy report which identifies the presence of Reed-Sternberg cell. Remember, wala na pong ibang klase ng cancer pag nakita nyo po yung Reed Sternberg cell na yan. Ano po ang iisipin natin kaagad? It's going to be your Hodgkin's lymphoma. Di ba? Ito po yung parang eye ng owl na makikita po under your microscope pag nag-undergo po ng lymph node biopsy yung patient po natin. So it's going to be your letter boy, Hodgkin's lymphoma. Okay? Next. A nurse reviews a patient's lab results and notes the presence of Benz-Jones protein in the urine. This finding is most commonly associated with which disorder? Okay? Ito yung lagi kong sinasabi, wag nating pagbaliktarin ang Benz-Jones protein and your Jones criteria. Okay? So, pag Benz-Jones protein po natin, we are talking about the presence of protein in the urine. No? Sino po ba yung tumataas ang protina dito? It's because mataas ang immunoglobulin po natin sa katawan. When this particular proteins will be metabolized, they will be excreted in the kidney. Ito po yung tinatawag po nating Benz-Jones protein. Sino po yung tumataas ang immunoglobulin dito? Wala na pong iba kundi sino? Multiple myeloma. Oh, bantayan natin to ha. Si Reed Sternberg cell natin kanina, that's gonna be for your Hodgkin. Pero pag sinabi po nating Benz-Jones protein, that's gonna be for your multiple myeloma. Alright? Next. A nurse is caring for a patient with tumor lysis syndrome or your TLS following chemotherapy. The provider prescribes a medication to decrease elevated uric acid levels. Which drug is most appropriate? Remember, tumor lysis syndrome. Ano po ang nangyayari? No? Ito po ay isa sa mga complications of your chemotherapy. No? Remember, pag nagbigay tayo ng chemo, it kills the cancer cells. Pero hindi lamang yung mga cancer cells natin ang namamatay or maapektuhan, but it could also kill the normal cells. Ibig sabihin, because of rapid cell turnover, marami po yung mga cell na namamatay, yung mga minerals, mga electrolytes na nandito like your potassium, like your uric acid, and so on and so forth. Po pwede po pag nasira po ang cell po natin, sinira po yung cell natin, marirelease po yung mga content niya into the bloodstream. That's why in tumor lysis syndrome po pwede pong magkaroon ng mataas na potassium hyperkalemia, no? Po pwede pong tumaas ang uric acid po ng pasyente po natin and so on and so forth. At nakakatakot po pag tumaas ang potassium kasi po pwedeng ikamatay by means of cardiac dysrhythmia. Ngayon, pag nag-release yung mga cells natin ng uric acid because of rapid cell turnover, tataas ang uric acid, no? Ng patient po natin magkakaroon ng hyperuricemia. Anong gamot ang ibibigay natin? Not your furo because this is a diuretic, but we give your what? We give your allopurinol. Your colchicine, it's an anti-inflammatory for your gout, but para mapababa po natin yung uric acid for TLS or tumor lysis syndrome, it's going to be your allopurinol. Okay? Next. A patient with cervical cancer is receiving internal radiation therapy via vaginal applicator. So most probably, this is going to be a sealed. Diba? This is a sealed brachytherapy. During a routine assessment, the nurse notices that the radiation implant has partially dislodged. O, tingnan mo, partially dislodged lang naman, hindi pa totally na discharge ang atin pong implant. Alright? Partially discharged pa lamang. Alright, so mag-charge po muna tayo. No? Sorry for the interruption. Baka mamatay na naman tong laptop. Ayun. Diba? So, partially dislodged lamang po. Ano? So, ano po ang gagawin natin dito? A, use forceps to reposition. We never reposition. Diba? Hindi po natin i-reposition yan. Wrong po ang letter A. Letter B, notify the radiation safety officer and follow the institutional protocol for dislodge implant. Pwede. Positive po ito. Okay? C, remove the implant from the patient and place it. Oh, tingnan mo, partially dislodged pa lang naman. Okay? Pag totally na-dislodge yan, that's the time that you have to remove. Gamit tayo ng long forceps at ilagay po natin doon sa radiation na lead-lined, di ba? Lead container. Encourage the patient to remain still and continue the treatment. No. Partially dislodged na nga yan. No? Po, pwede pong makasira po ng ibang tissue ng katawan natin yan. So ano pong gagawin natin dito? If it's partially dislodged, we have to notify the radiation safety officer and follow institutional protocol for dislodged implant. Yan po ang pinaka Best answer po dyan. Pinaka na nga best because that's talaga the best. Alright? So, ano ang gagawin mo? Halimbawa naman po ay natanggal talaga, di ba? The implant is dislodged, natanggal na, hindi lang partially but fully or totally dislodged. Ang gagawin po natin, you have to pick it up using a long-handled forceps, di ba? Or tong. Okay, tapos ilalagay po natin sa lead container. Remember ha, internal radiation, the client is radioactive. Okay? Next. Okay. A nurse is reviewing the clinical characteristic of a patient diagnosed with AML or acute myeloid leukemia. Which of the following is not typically associated with AML? A. Fatigue and pallor. B. Frequent infection. C. Easy bruising or bleeding. Or letter D. Muscle rigidity. Remember that in leukemia, your client will be having pancytopenia. Sir Dan, ano pong ibig sabihin ng pancytopenia? Mababa ang RBC. Pwede, no? Pwedeng magkaroon ng anemia. Kaya po pwedeng magkaroon ng fatigue at saka pallor. So letter A, that's expected. What about, po pwede rin po bang bumagsak ang WBC, Sir Dan? Yes. That's why risk for infection yung pasyente natin. Alright? So po pwede rin po ba yung frequent infection, Sir Dan? Yes, pasok po yan. Alright? And when we say possible din po ba na bumagsak ang platelet? Yes, that's why possible magkaroon ng bleeding yung patient natin. Kaya possible din po ba yung easy bruising or bleeding? Yes, Sir Dan, kasama po yan. Therefore, pag may pancytopenia ka, etong babantayan mo, mababa lahat ng blood component. Anemia, leukopenia, po pwede rin magkaroon ng thrombocytopenia. So, saan dito ang hindi kasama? Your muscle rigidity. Dog is the answer. Okay? Next. Alright. A nurse is teaching a client about cervical cancer prevention. Which vaccine is recommended to reduce the risk of developing cervical cancer? Oh, wala na pong iba. Dapat alam po natin dito yung mga microorganisms that might cause or risk factor for your cancer. Ang hepatitis B po natin, it's gonna be for your liver cancer. Not for cervical, wrong. Okay, influenza, it's more of on our respiratory system, so wrong. Varicella, even your chickenpox, ano? Ano po ang tamang sagot dito? Vaccine, it's going to be your HPV or your human papillomavirus because HPV vaccine or HPV infection rather is one of the common risk factor for the development of your cervical cancer among women. So, napaka-importante po ng pagre-receive ng HPV vaccine ng mga kababaihan. Okay? Next. The nurse is reviewing the diet of a client with hypoparathyroidism. So, ano ba ang meron pag hypoparathyroidism? Okay? Pag hypoparathyroidism, mababa ang parathyroid hormone po natin. Therefore, anong nangyayari pag mababa si PTH? Mababa din ang calcium level in the body, may hypocalcemia. That's why, ano ang diet na ibibigay natin sa kanila? Magbibigay tayo ng high calcium diet. Pero Sir Dan, pag nagbigay po tayo ng high calcium, di ba? Ang calcium meron siyang sister na electrolyte and that's gonna be your phosphorus. Isn't it na kapag katataasan dapat natin ng calcium, dapat binababaan natin ng phosphorus kasi inversely proportional po yung mga yan. Okay? Sila yung mag-ate na hindi po nagsasama, hindi po sabay na umaangat, kundi pag umangat yung isa, dapat mababa yung isa. Ganon. Inverse yung proportion nila. So saan po dyan? No? Saan ang ibibigay natin dito? Magbigay tayo ng high calcium diet and then at the same time, your what? Low phosphorus diet. Tingnan nyo to, oh. Puro low calcium, low calcium, low calcium. Eh di wala nang iba, kundi ano ba? It's letter D kasi high calcium po dapat ang binibigay po natin. Okay? Next. Which hormone primarily raises blood glucose levels by stimulating glycogen breakdown into the liver? So, ibig sabihin, sino daw po ang nakakapagpataas ng sugar? Wala nang iba kundi sino? It's going to be your glucagon. Okay? So, glycogenolysis. Ibig sabihin, ang glucagon po natin, right? It's the one responsible for glycogenolysis. Okay? But when we say insulin, siya pong nagpapababa ng sugar, di ba? And this is the hormone responsible for glycogenesis, the formation of glycogen or stored sugar in the liver. Ang cortisol, ang aldosterone po natin, no? Ang cortisol po pwede niyang apektuhan ng sugar pero pag sugar ang pinag-usapan, primarily glucagon and insulin po yan. Okay? Right, next. A nurse is reviewing a patient's insulin regimen. Which type of insulin is hayaan niyo yung mga manok, 'di ba? Nakikisali sila. Right? Which type of insulin is characterized by having no peak action? Saan daw po dito? Walang peak. So ang insulin po natin, meron tayong review of related international literature. So meron tayong rapid, meron tayong regular, or this is going to be your short acting. We have your intermediate. Okay? And we also have your long-acting or your very long-acting insulin. Right? Pag sinabi nating rapid, ano pong example ng rapid natin dito? Ito, rapid. Okay? Rapid list. List. Mabilis. Rapid list pro. This is a rapid acting. So meron pong peak yan. No? Etong tatlo, rapid, short, and then your intermediate. Okay? Meron pong peak yan. Ibig sabihin ng peak, ito po yung time na babantayin po natin na po pwede or highest magkaroon ng chance na magkaroon ng hypoglycemia yung patient. Ano po ang walang peak? It's going to be your long-acting, it's going to be your glargine. Okay? Regular, lahat po ng mga insulin na may ganyan sa pangalan, RTAS nakabilog, that's regular or short-acting. Ang NPH po natin, this is intermediate. Remember, intermediate NPH, di ba? N, intermediate. So, ang wala pong peak dyan, it's going to be your long acting. Alright? Next, eto na. A nurse is reviewing a patient's home glucose logs. The patient reports normal readings during the day, but hyperglycemia mid-morning and mid-evening and a slight rise around 3 a.m. Which insulin-related phenomenon is most likely responsible? Tinanong na to once, dapat alam po natin. Ito yung mga complications of insulin therapy, and this is what we call your morning hyperglycemia. Okay? Okay, so meron po tayong tatlo. Tanggalin natin ang letter dog. Alright? Etong insulin overdose, hindi rin. So, meron tayong tatlo dyan. Dawn phenomenon, Somogyi effect, at saka meron tayong tinatawag na insulin waning. Unahin na natin yung insulin waning kasi ito po yung pinakamadali. Ang pattern po ng insulin waning is mula gabi hanggang umaga, ang pattern niya talagang tumataas ang blood sugar level. Okay? Progressive increase of your blood glucose from evening to morning. Pero pag sinabi nating dawn phenomenon, no, from evening, possible normal po ang kanyang blood sugar, but pagdating ng alas 3 ng umaga, 2 or 3 a.m., no, tumataas na po, nag-start na pong tumataas ang blood glucose level. That's your dawn phenomenon. From the word dawn, 3 a.m. tumataas kasi po nasisikret po yung growth hormone. At ang growth hormone natin, pwede niya pong pataasin ang blood glucose level. What about your Somogyi effect? This is a rebound hyperglycemia. Paano naman po yan, Sir Dan? Okay? Normal ang blood glucose mo, tapos biglang babagsak yan sa madaling araw, but because of the medical compensatory mechanism of the body, like your growth hormone, like your cortisol, di ba? Kasi bumagsak ang glucose mo, magko-compensate po yung atin pong adrenal gland, magsisikret ng cortisol yan. Kaya early in the morning, tumataas na po ang kanyang blood glucose level. That's why it's called your rebound hyperglycemia kasi nagkaroon ng hypoglycemia, no? Nagkaroon ng rebound hyperglycemia because of the compensatory mechanism. So saan po dito? The correct answer? Tingnan mo, hyperglycemia mid-morning and mid-evening and a slight rise in a 3 a.m. So what's the answer? Ang pasok dito, it's going to be your dawn phenomenon. Alright? So let's proceed to our last 5 questions po. Alright? Ito na. A nurse is reviewing the characteristics, no, of your type 2 diabetes mellitus. Alright? Meron tayong dalawang klase ng DM, no? We have your 1 and then your 2. But when we say DM type 2, this is your NIDDM or non-insulin dependent diabetes mellitus. Anong nagkukos ng DM type 2? Possible po na mababa po ang insulin or ang pasyente po natin merong insulin resistance. That's gonna be on your type 2. Now, ano daw po dito ang hindi kasama, which is not true? A, often associated with obesity. Opo, ang type 2 po natin, often associated po yan because of obesity, because of being overweight. Sa lifestyle at saka sa diet po yan. So, positive ang letter A, hindi po natin yan isasama. Hindi po yan yung sagot. B, gradual onset with mild symptoms. Totoo, gradual yan, hindi biglaan. Tama? So, habang tumatanda, nagpapakita yung signs and symptoms and so on and so forth. Tingnan mo, test-taking strategy. Yung isa, letter C, over 40 years old, sabi niya. Tapos yung letter D, typically early childhood or this is gonna be early onset. Yung isa, late onset. Yung isa naman, early onset. So, saan po ang tama dito, no? Isa sa dalawang to ang tamang sagot because they're contradicting. Okay, so ang tamang sagot dito, pag DM type 1, no, it's going to be your letter dog, early childhood. Pero pag DM type 2, over 40 or over 30 po yan. So, no, hindi po kasama ang letter C hindi po yung letter C yung sagot po natin dito. So kasama po yan sa DM type 2. ABC, this is gonna be for type 2. Ang hindi po kasama, for type 1, it's gonna be your letter D, early onset or your juvenile. Alright? Okay, eto na. Last four questions. The ICU nurse is taking care of a client who sustained a head injury due to motorcycle accident. In the morning, the client is responsive to pain and assumes a decorticate position. Right? Ano ang decorticate? Ibig sabihin, upper extremity flexion. Alright? Upper extremity flexion. Ibig sabihin, yung kamay niya, it will be towards the core of the body. Ito, towards the core. That's why it's called decorticate. Towards the core of the body. Upper extremity flexion. That's decorticate. At kung titignan mo, babalikan mo yung GCS mo, di ba? Ang decortication, parang 3 ang score niyan. Di ba? After 4 hours, sabi niya, saan daw po dito, which assessment indicate to the nurse that the client needs immediate intervention? Bakit? Mas lumalala yung problema ng patient natin. A, the client displays purposeful movement when the nurse performs a sternal rub. Nag-sternal rub ka daw, tapos may movement. No? Is it a good sign? Yes, good sign yan. Hindi po yan problema. No? Ibig sabihin, responsive pa rin yung patient natin. Letter B, the client extends his arms and legs when the nurse rubs his sternum. So, extension of the arms and then the legs, this is decerebration. Ibig sabihin, di ba sa GCS natin, this is score number 2. GCS 2 yan sa ating pong motor. So ibig sabihin from 3 na decorticate naging 2, ibig bang sabihin bumagsak ang kanyang ang motor, 'di ba? Bumagsak ang GCS niya, nag-progress po ba? Yes. Is it a problem? Yes, that's why your letter B is the answer. Kasi kung titignan mo, the client flails his arms and legs when a nauseous stimulus is applied or the client moves his fingers upon request. Good sign po ang letter A, B at saka C, letter A, C at saka D natin. Ang immediate intervention because progressing po yung disease, it's going to be your letter boy. Okay, from decorticate, naging decerebration. Alright? Next. A client with suspected of having MG, no? The healthcare provider plans to perform a tensilon test. Ano daw pong gamot ang binibigay natin? Malamang tensilon yan. Pero pag hindi mo alam yung parang generic po ng tensilon, other name of the drug, it's going to be your what? No? Tanggalin natin ang prednisone because your prednisone is anti-inflammatory. You have to remove your atropine because why? Your atropine, this is the antidote. 'Di ba? Pag ikaw ay nag-perform ng tensilon test, dapat nasa bedside lagi, no? Nasa bedside lagi ang atropine because this is the antidote. Alright? So saan po? Is it the pyridostigmine or the edrophonium? Ang pyridostigmine po natin, this is the drug of choice, no? Sa mga pasyenteng may MG, but the drug that we use during your tensilon test is going to be your letter C. Okay? Letter C po ang tamang sagot, edrophonium chloride. Alright? Or your tensilon. Ano naman po ang gamot? A client with MG asks which medication will help improve their muscle strength? Which drug should the nurse identify as the first line of treatment? Wala na pong iba. Tanggalin na natin tong prednisone at atropine kasi narasyon na natin kanina. Edrophonium, pang tensilon yan. So anong tamang sagot? Pyridostigmine. Pyridostigmine, neostigmine, ganyan, or your mestinon, yan po ang mga gamot for your MG. Okay? Next. Tingnan nyo to. A client with MG develops complication during a tensilon test. Which assessment finding most clearly indicates the need for emergent intervention? A. Mild eyelid drooping. B. Difficulty speaking and shallow breathing. Or letter C. Slight hand tremor. Or letter D. Temporary improvement in grip strength. Why? In a client who will be receiving or undergoing tensilon test, bantayan po natin kasi po pwede po silang magkaroon ng cholinergic crisis. No? Ano ibig sabihin ng cholinergic crisis? Po pwede po na masobrahan po tayo. Excessive ang medication. Right? At pag nagkaroon ng cholinergic crisis yung patient po natin, bantayan natin yung patient natin ng sludge. Ano yung sludge? The client will be wet. Okay? So S is salivation. L is lacrimation, U is urination, D is diaphoresis, G is GI upset or diarrhea, and E is for emesis. Your client will be wet. But aside from that, bantayan mo rin pag nagkaroon ng cholinergic crisis, pwede pong magkaroon ng respiratory problems. no? Or complications. Kaya, ang nakakatakot po dito, while tensilon test is being performed, it's going to be your letter boy. That's the reason kung bakit sa bedside, dapat nandun lagi ang atropine and at the same time, nandun ang suction, nandun po ang airway, para po sa ganun pag nagkaroon ng emergency or complication, readily available po sila. Okay? And our last question would be, no? All right. Last question. A nurse is caring for a patient who has been taking, ito kasi mali yung ano tanong. So, no, tanggalin muna natin 'yan. A nurse is caring for a patient who has been taking phenytoin or dilantin for seizure control. Which assessment finding would concern the nurse the most? All right? So, ang phenytoin or dilantin natin, this is an anticonvulsant. Okay? Yeah, it is. For the treatment of epilepsy, for seizure, ganyan. Pero, always remember na pag nagbibigay tayo ng phenytoin, ano yung mga babantayan natin? Always remember, kailangan po dito merong, i-maintain po natin ang normal, no? Normal blood level to avoid toxicity. Okay? Pangalawa, bantayan natin ang gingival hyperplasia. Pwede pong lumaki yung gums ng patient po natin para magkaroon ng bleeding yan. Kaya bantayan po natin, kaya gagamit dapat ng soft bristle toothbrush yan. And your phenytoin could also cause blood dyscrasia. Ibig sabihin po, pwede pong bumaba yung mga blood components natin like your WBC that will place your client at risk na magkaroon ng infection. So saan po dyan yung mga nabanggit natin? Tanggalin natin ang letter C, tanggalin natin ang letter D. Kundi, ano po ang babantay natin dito? Gum tenderness and then rash on the chest and trunk with WBC of 2,500 cubic millimeter. Pero ano po ang dapat pong i-consider natin dito or i-concern natin the most? No? It's going to be your letter B because your letter A somehow parang sasabihin mo adverse effect yan, somehow something that is expected, pero yung letter B natin, your client will be prone na magkaroon ng infection. That's why mas nakakatakot po at imo-monitor po natin yung letter B rather than your letter A. Okay? So again, ito po yung mga some of the topics no na lagi pong tinatanong or common sa board examination po pwede po nating ma-encounter sa mga exams po natin sa school or sa mga exams na iti-take natin. Alright? But of course, these are just practice questions. It's okay pa rin na magbasa pa rin tayo ng magbasa ng additional concepts para mas lumawak pa po yung kaalaman natin when it comes to nursing. Okay? Because hindi po dapat limited yung kaalaman natin. Right? We have to know hindi man lahat kundi majority dapat maintindihan natin para po sa ganun ay kahit na anumang tanong ang itanong natin, papahirapan man yan, lilituin man tayo, makukuha at makukuha pa rin natin yung tamang sagot. At hindi tayo maliligaw ng landas. Okay? Once again, this is Sir Dandan at ito po yung regalo ko po sa inyo, no? Sa mga hindi pa po nakakapag-subscribe, nakakapag-follow, no? For more videos like this, all right? Like nyo po yung video na to and at the same time mag-comment po tayo, no? Kung taga saan po kayo, saang school po kayo, right? Saang bansa po kayo para alam ko naman kung saan po nakakarating tong video natin. Okay, once again, you will pass the board exam. You can pass the board exam. You will because you can. You will become an RN. You can become an RN. God bless you guys.